third edition. We already started last year and had some really nice editions, and thought we'd like to continue the series this year. Maybe a quick intro who I am. I'm Tatiana, the Communication and Events Manager at NMA, and I will just walk you through this session. And I'm really happy that we have some very great guests here today. Lisa Hamberg of our alumni team Ceretai, and Christian Radler of ARD, aktuell, Tagesschau, and they will present their joint easy testing case today. So I would love to just start with a quick intro session, and I would hand over the word to Lisa. Yeah, please tell us what do you do with Ceretai, and yeah, looking forward to hear what you're gonna say.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to just share my screen and share a little presentation of Ceretai. Can you see the starting screen now?
Perfect.
Yes, okay. So my name is Lisa. I am CPO and co-founder of Ceretai. We were part of the NMA program in Q1, Q2 2019. So it was actually 2 years ago now. We were 3 girls at the point, moving down to Germany from Sweden to be part of the program. And let me see if I can change there. Ceretai's mission pretty much boils down to this question. What are we actually fed with in the media, the TV, movie series that we're watching every day? Because this is not showing a true representation of the real world. It is very biased, and there are a lot of groups that are underrepresented, misrepresented, and a lot of people have nobody to relate to on screen. This goes for both female, people with functional limitations, and age groups and different ethnic groups, for example. And we founded Ceretai because this will change, and it has to change. And we have 3 main reasons why. So reason 1 is that the audiences want more diversity, especially the next generation. And we have seen different research studies showing that this is one of the most important issues in society, according to them, the lack of diversity and inclusion. And also over 80% of the audiences wants to change the state of diversity in media. Reason number 2 is that authorities and governments are actually enforcing equality. So, for example, CSA in France wants the public broadcasters to report on the diversity in their content, and they are doing it manually today. And we can also look at the SDG goals, the global goals for sustainability, where both goal number 5 is gender equality and number 10 is reduced inequalities. And these are to be reached by 2030, so we don't have so much time. And then reason number 3 is that the media industry is actually self-regulating. We can see a lot of initiatives from the media industry themselves, like, for example, the BBC 50-50 initiatives, that they want 50-50 representation of the binary genders within all of their content. So at Ceretai, we provide automated diversity analysis of media content to enable these media companies of monitoring, reporting on, and setting goals for their equality and diversity. And how it works is that we have launched a product we are calling the Diversity Dashboard. It's a software as a service tool where we feed to the tool the audiovisual content of our customers. So it can be all of their media files for 1 day, for example. It goes through our machine learning algorithms, and the output is diversity statistics, such as, for example, screen presence or speaking time by the binary genders. We have age distribution, smile factor, and emotions by the genders. And now soon to be launched after a lot of interest from our clients is also ethnicity statistics. And they can also download these for reporting purposes. And this is our current team. It's me and Matilda who founded the company, and we have Alex, who is our lead developer, and Maike is the managing director in Germany. Thank you. That was everything for me now.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, thanks a lot for introducing Ceretai to us. Then maybe we jump over to Christian, so you can tell what he's doing with Tagesschau and ARD aktuell.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Great to be here at this lunch talk. I don't really think I need to introduce that much about Tagesschau. Next year we're going to turn 70, so we've basically been around for longer than everyone here in this call. Tagesschau, we're doing news programming for the biggest target group that you can come up with. That is basically everyone who lives in Germany. So the question that is current for where I work, and I do format development, I run the R&D department at Tagesschau. Does our program matter to, and does it represent everyone who lives in Germany? Diversity, or a very, very clever umbrella term that Lisa has just sneaked into the conversation, equality, is a big topic, visibly on screen and all over the editorial and production teams. I'm not really feeling safe to say that this is solved at all. It is a process, hiring cycles, which include tenure-like lifetime or work-life durations play a big role, of course. So that means if you hire someone, then they might be there for 30 or 40 years. And so our diversity approach takes effect slowly. But in our programming, which is an everyday decision, diversity could really do better at times. We know that. Measuring when we deliver on that promise of diversity and when we could improve is a good idea for us as the country's leading name for TV news. And the big impact Tagesschau has in the digital world, website, apps, social media, etc., is certainly another call to practice diversity in a multi-dimensional way. When we did the pilot with Ceretai, Ceretai's analysis gave us the opportunity to measure in a broad sense the diversity of our main program along the lines of binary gender classifications back then. We all know this is obviously a good starting point. Gender diversity in a non-binary way is the logical next step when we look at that particular topic in 2021. Age and sentiment analysis were additional points of measurement. Last time we looked at Ceretai's tool, like we all did just in Lisa's presentation. Age or ageism being the coming challenge for a programming that truly reflects and represents an audience of everyone. Plus, we want to know, does our programming, our presenters, our reporters, the politicians, the talking heads we have there, the experts, our language, does it reflect on the fact that Germany's population today has somewhere north of 20% migration background? That's basically what I prepared for this first part.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you already briefly touched where you collaborated together. Maybe Lisa, you can elaborate on that, how exactly that looked like.
Yes, sure. I'm going to share my screen again. So yes, I hope you can see it now. So we're very happy to be introduced to RD Aktuell through NMA to do this EC testing session with them. We started out by having our first meeting to see what needs do RD Aktuell have that our technology could be the solution of. And as I remember, they had a lack of data when it came to diversity, and they were interested in finding these solutions for automated diversity analysis that we could provide. When we talked to them, they needed diversity measures based on roles. So not only how many % were women and men, for example, but in different roles in their news show. They wanted in the project to actively follow along the analysis process. So they didn't want just one delivery in the end. And they wanted to know how they performed compared to other broadcasters. So from this, we took up a proposed solution that we later initiated, and it was an analysis based on our own speaking time algorithm, which this was 2 years ago, so it was actually the tech we had at the time. We initiated a 1-week project for testing the services. We decided to analyze and provide data on both Tagesschau and the competing show Heute. And we provided daily data on yesterday's diversity statistics. So each morning in the morning meeting, they could present the diversity data from the show the day before. Here's just a screenshot from one of the daily digests. Maybe Christian remembers how these look like. You could see Tagesschau and Heute percentage from the day before, when you had like these fresh in your mind, maybe what the show looked like. We divided them through the roles of anchors, correspondent, and external sources. And this was very interesting because the external sources were a lot of experts being asked. And then in the end, we also presented them with a final diversity report, including all our findings and also suggestions on how they could improve the diversity. Of course, 1 week is a short amount of time, but this was to show what we could do for a bigger project. I also just included for us like what easy testing enabled, and it enabled contact with potential clients. We have been in contact with aktuell after this. We could do a quick limited scope project to test the product on the real market. And we find the needs from real potential customers. And also, which is most important, maybe the ability to tweak our solution for the bigger scope projects so we can find a better market fit. So from the easy testing session with aktuell and also the other easy testing session we had, we collided this into some insights that we could take with us and how to change our product. And we needed to have some kind of division of roles, at least if we were going to go into the news media. Ethnicity measures is highly requested, and that is why we're going to release that now soon. And the clients wants their results fast and easy overlookable. So now from this first insight from Christian, we have now our diversity dashboard that you could see yesterday's shows being presented the day after. So everything boils down to what it looks like now. Thank you. That was me.
Thank you so much for all those insights and especially all the details that you provided on the collaboration you did. Maybe circling back to Christian, can you describe us, because how it looked like this cooperation went very smoothly. Maybe you have some advice on how to encourage more corporates or media houses in general to work together with startups and set up those projects.
Yeah, this is probably a bit foreseeable, but at this point I can only really praise the collaboration with NMA and all the startups at NMA that we've been in contact with, because in general the collaboration goes very, very smoothly. We work a lot with companies that have been around and been working for us for 20 or 30 years, and to get a chance to influence their roadmaps and their product lines, no matter how important we are as Tagesschau as a whole, we're not significant. If we talk to companies like Sony or so, you know, it's always maybe next version. And this is, of course, a picture that a lot of people in my position in other media companies have had that experience over and over again. And it's a fresh wind that we get with NMA badge participants, because we can influence where the products are going. We are basically the litmus test whether the product is going anywhere, and Ceretai is a good example here of how the input that we get in our first pilot situation, how that goes back into the product. I always try to channel not only what Tagesschau wants. If I get to do a pilot with one of these startups, I always try to project what the market might want, what my colleagues in our ARD or other media companies, what they might want, what the European landscape would provide, etc., etc. But of course, I'm very, very egoistic. I want to make the startups big, because then they will be around for a bit. We can work together and collaborate. And in the end, of course, improve Tagesschau's chances to produce good content in that case, equality-driven, integrative, diverse content. And it's very egotistical, because if I look at it only as Tagesschau, then it's not really something for the long haul. I believe it's always better to think about, for instance, Christoph is here in the this is also on the call, to think about the European level of interest that there might be, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I would not really improve anything, I must say, and we didn't
Well,
have
that's good to hear.
challenges as far as easy testing goes.
That sounds good. Many thanks. Many thanks. Maybe from your end, Lisa, you can also describe how it is for you working as a startup and how to really access this, because I think it's always hard to get those first approach and then develop this project. How was it for you?
Well, yeah, as a startup, it's the hardest part is probably to get in contact with the right people in the right companies. And that is why it's so good to have Anime, for example, in this case, a program that has the contacts to these media companies that would be our potential clients, so that we can be introduced. And since you have credibility with these companies, they know that you have selected startups that you believe in, that will be good for the media industry overall. So I think that as a startup, it's definitely important to get somebody to make these introductions if you don't have these contacts yourself before.
Yeah. And so maybe a short advertisement break, because since we're doing this easy testing, we just recently launched a white paper on easy testing with all these cases that we facilitated for the startups, where they work together with the corporate and media houses. So if you're interested in learning some more about those cases as well, besides this great case here we have, I share the link with you in the chat in a second, and then you can just check it out and download our white paper on easy testing. But thank you so much, Lisa and Christian, for giving us this firsthand insights, and that you're praising the collaboration, that it went so smoothly. So that's really, really great to hear as a feedback as well. So I would love now to go on to the Q&A part, because I think we have a curious audience, and I really hope that they have some questions for you. So I would love to open up and have everyone see what they would love to know from our two guests today, if there are questions.
I have one question to Christian, out of curiosity in this case, to this diversity topic. How do you, once you get the results, the super interesting results that Ceretai showcase, for example, in terms of experts or correspondents and so on, what happens after, once you get these results, to implementing changes actually? Does that take a long time? Is there a lot of bureaucracy? Or can you just simply say, see, we need to get more experts for the next interviews that are women or women of color and so on?
The head of my department for strategy innovation, Andreas, who sends, by the way, who sends his regards today, he does that. So he speaks on the level of department heads, and he introduces the results, he discusses the results. He also, in intervals, always, gets back to that, so that we do not forget about that on an everyday level. I am, however, not particularly excited about how we do this in practice, because media, current media, means that you always need to make fast decisions. And that means that you probably won't run through this processes like you have over at Google, where if they're, for instance, if they are looking for a panel and they have only one type of participant, and they are all male, then they go through this even if process. And they repeat this anecdotally, of course. I only know about this, I haven't witnessed it, but they say they have this even if approach in panels, in hiring processes, meaning if they have not enough equality, not enough diversity, they go through the hiring or panel searching cycle once more until they are satisfied with the degree of diversity. On an everyday basis, if you have probably only like 10 or 15 minutes to come up with whom to interview in the late night bulletin, for instance, in Tagesthemen, then you probably will not have this diversity measure in the moment you're planning it, but you're having it afterwards. And this is an important process to look at as well. If we had, for instance, a 30-minute late night bulletin, the Tagesthemen, and all the experts and all the politicians, etc., they were all male, for instance, then you bet the next day we will talk about that. We will talk about that internally. We will also talk about it in the ARD. In the ARD planning round for the current day, we will talk about it and reflect. It will be reflected upon because the sensitivity has been reached at that point. Everyone is aware of that.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Tanya.
Yes, I raised my hand.
I didn't see that.
Hi. Hi, Christian. You just went to the topic. Are there any ideas to make that case maybe like a first pilot for the RRD for the whole thing? So it's only about the Tagesschau, but maybe this is a tool for other formats in the RRD.
Yeah, and there is a tendency at ARD to share pilots, and we have shared this one actually on a editorial brass level between the different regional TV directors. So there is an awareness for that. We've also talked about it internally ARD wide. The question whether we will take all of ARD's programming, let's say from a whole week, and run it through the process is of course an interesting one. At the moment, they will probably crucify me if I demand that we do that, because they think that they have other pandemic, etc. choices and priorities to take care of. But yeah, we will definitely think about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe back to Lisa. Thank you. Are you in touch with other RD departments yet?
Not with it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not within RD actually, but definitely other media houses throughout Europe, both in Germany and in Sweden, where we're coming from, and that's also why we hired our lovely German manager Maike to keep up the contacts in Germany, because we feel like the market there are very open to our services. And now that we have been developing them throughout these 2 years since this pilot we have a lot to offer them, and our tool goes very fast. So if you have an entire day of shows, the next day you can log in and you can see the results already. So I think that we have an easier task selling our tool now when we have a lot of bigger offering.
Excellent. So there's a lot to come, a lot to see, hopefully this year. Yes. That sounds good. Are there any other questions?
Hi, this is Marine from Germany, Cologne. Hello, I work for German broadcaster WDR, and I have a question to Christian Radler, if I may. Can ask you if the Tagesschau has already developed some objectives in order to create a more diverse program. Are there any objectives you have for this year or for next year you can tell us?
You mean in terms of KPIs? I have no list of KPIs, I'm afraid. I can hint towards the fact that we are constantly, for instance, working on a up-to-speed use of the German language as far as gender inclusion goes, and that we do that on a digital level, but not yet in our main bulletin. And this is a threshold that we are expecting to cross at some time in the future. But if you look at our written output in social media, on the website, in the apps, etc., then you will see that there's already a change, and you can reverse engineer the objectives that are behind that. Apart from that, if you look, for instance, at our most recent additions to the 8 o'clock bulletin presenter, which is a very, very small group, we included another presenter with what the Germans have coined the migration background. I'm not even sure if this is a word or a term in English. So pardon me here. So you see that we do this on different levels, and again, you can reverse engineer the objectives that are behind that. There's nothing that we would probably publicly debate on a larger scale. Being a part of WDR, you know how the sensitivities are towards public service media at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can also continue that talk afterwards, because now we got our time limit met, and I would love to thank you so much, Lisa and Christian, for sharing all your insight with us today. And we are already looking forward to the next sessions on easy testing that are upcoming next month, and hopefully see some of the faces that took part today there again. And then I would just love to wish you a great rest of the day, and hope to stay in touch and talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And bye.
Thanks.